Sir Rick here, reminding you to tune in to our new segment called The Sledgehammer, featuring those who make a legal difference in our industry.
All right, Drive Safe Dave here, along with Doug Marcello, Chief Legal Officer over there at Bluewire. How you doing today, Doug?
Fine.
You what, sir?
I said doing great.
So, what do you think of our intro? Here we got we've created a legal segment. What do you think of that?
I thought that was great. I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, man, this is perfect. This is a great deal. So yeah, sounds great.
Okay.
And Dave, what do we got? 68 days till Christmas, from what I hear. So
yeah, 68. Oh, stop! Everybody, stop with the Christmas. It's coming soon enough. Come on. Y'all are just gonna, and you know what? You joke about it, but it's gonna get around, and my wife will find out about it. Then I'm really messed up. All right, here we go. Doug, tell us a little bit about, first of all, what Bluewire is, and what they do, and then we'll go from there.
But Bluewire is a company that uses artificial intelligence to analyze company data to proactively look for vulnerabilities to nuclear verdicts or other deficiencies plaintiffs prey upon. So we want to do this before the accident happens, because that way we can diffuse it. Most of the primary nuclear verdicts, they don't come out of the facts of the accident. They arise out of the facts of the company, the vulnerabilities. And we're trying to get ahead of that and tell companies how they can cure that ahead of time, David.
And as we're talking about this, and I know we all in the trucking industry understand what nuclear verdicts and how they've impacted a lot of the decision-making process is that we have out there, and how we have to work to make sure that they don't happen to us. Let me ask you, Doug, and as we talk about it, I have a real quick question. Why isn't my insurance company hiring you to do this already? Why?
Good question, Dave. This is something that you would think the insurance companies, the trucking companies themselves, and that's why we're out there, for them to get ahead of this so that we can head this off. And, we talk a lot about nuclear verdicts, and that's the big thing right now. But in today's world, with increasing premiums, the only way to slow your increasing premium, because you're not going to stop it, is to take more skin in the game yourself, increase your deductible. That means that the key no longer is how much does my premium cost, it's my total cost of risk. That's the premium plus what's out of my pocket, the retention, deductible I have, plus what are the safety costs on it. So that, what we're looking to do, and this vulnerabilities don't just hurt you in the nuclear verdicts. It is what I call the hemorrhaging, the 25, 50,000. You didn't do anything wrong, the person's not hurt. But because of something they come up with, they get leverage on you to try to squeeze that, and you die a death of 1,000 cuts if you're a trucking company.
Yeah, I mean, look, and it doesn't take very many $500,000, taps on your bill. I mean, to get it may not be a fatality, may be just an injury, or it may be something like that, but you're opened up to liability, and it doesn't take really a lot of these to really drown a company. I mean, you can really go quickly, and you still may have the best safety going on, right? You still may have a great safety program, but it doesn't keep away from the opportunity for the tort law or customers out there, not customers, but plaintiffs out there really going after a trucking company.
Yeah, there's only so much we can do to prevent accidents. The best defense to an accident case is not to have one. And so we got to do all we can. But in 2016, the ATA found that the trucking industry spent $9.5 billion on safety. We see the increase of driver analytics, and again, very useful. There's our friends out there are idyllic, and in one of their best scenarios, they've reduced accidents by 50% for a company, and on average 20%. But we still have the remaining accidents. It's kind of like a natural disaster. There are certain things we cannot control. So what we have to do is to get ahead of it and reduce the consequences of the loss. And that's what we're trying to do proactively on this.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a little bit now. Bluewire has Bluewire Gap Score Report. What is that?
But Bluewire Gap Score report just came out in the last couple of weeks. What we do is we analyze the public data of 700 some thousand, all the trucking companies, and take a look at it in terms of what the potential vulnerabilities are, score them against each other, and come up with a number on that. Something that can be used and is available for company use, can be used by insurance brokers in order to renew coverage or place coverage. It can be used by freight brokers in order to give themselves a defense, because that's one of the new areas, Dave, that things are coming out. They're suing the broker saying you should never have given this load to the company. This gives us the opportunity, or the broker the opportunity, to say, hey, I checked this out and this is what we have.
What's a prime example of why a motor carrier could be vulnerable? Well, just give me a good example.
For example, in today's world with ELDs, if you don't get the 11 and 14 right, Dave, you shouldn't be out there. So the workaround on that usually is unassigned time and personal conveyance. And a lot of companies don't look at that. One of the things we do on the Bluewire product, not necessarily the Gap because it's their own data, is to analyze, hey, where do you stand in terms of unassigned time and personal conveyance? And what's your exposure out there on that? So that's the type of things we're looking at that don't show up, a lot of times to the company to make sure that they're alert to it.
How does this tool offer the industry a true measure of your reputational vulnerability? I think how does it do that?
Yeah, and again, the reputation is what I use in my terms, more or less, what is the extent of your vulnerabilities? And this gives the company the opportunity to go and to say, hey, this is where we stand in our operations in relation to other companies and how that score is. One of the other things, Dave, that I really like on our Bluewire product is, the federal government's been talking since Congress mandated in 2015 in the ironically named FAST Act to have a beyond compliance program. Well, in our Bluewire product, we give the trucking companies credit for those investments they make, what they invest in safety, what they commit to safety. We give them the recognition of those items, and we even add up what they invest in at the total amount. So that when that plaintiff attorney comes and tries to say that they put profits over safety, there's an answer that they have right there on it.
And so let's go to that, because I think, I got some questions here, but as you're talking about it, I'm really wanting to know, let's go into the process, because you're talking about what you're doing. What is the plaintiff going to do right off the bat? Let's say an accident happens. What's the plaintiff going to do right off the bat before even if you're involved or not involved, they're going to go after that stuff, those vulnerabilities, right?
Absolutely. One of the amazing things, Dave, is one of the big pushbacks we get from trucking companies on the Bluewire product is, gee, we're not sure that we want to know, because if we get the information, we'll have to turn it over to discovery. It's what I call the discovery fallacy. Because the plaintiff attorneys out there, if you Google online, you'll see they're giving courses out there. One of them is entitled Trucks, a Treasure Trove of Data. They go through what you can get off of telematics, how to use it against trucking companies. And what it comes down to is, Dave, either the company's going to write its own narrative and get ahead of this, or they're going to get blasted and letting somebody else write the narrative for them. And that's what we're trying to do, help them get ahead of it.
I agree with you 100%. I think jurors and are smart enough to know that you should have known. If you didn't know, you obviously should have known, right? We're past that point of, well, they just didn't know. I think out there, we've got to be real about what we're thinking of when the guy or the gal is in that juror box. It's a different ball game now. They're not going to allow you not to just say, well, please forgive me, I just didn't know, I should have been better at being safe.
Trucks, we used to look at them as mechanical devices. Right now, they're technology devices.
Absolutely,
100%. We're drinking from a fire hose of data off of that. Yep. And I gave a talk at the ATA Safety Conference last spring. Good news, Dave, I'm going to cut the hour and 45 down to like 30 seconds. And it basically is identify what data you have. A lot of companies don't know till after the accident happened. Analyze it. What is the metrics? What are the KPIs in terms of your accident involvement? manage those, utilize it, and then discipline on it to cut it down. But at least have a story so you can say to the plaintiff attorney, look, and to the jury, we know we have all this data. Here is what we focused on, and here's why. And we analyze that ahead of time before the accident.
You know, we sit here and we talk about it, and I'm going to tell you right now, and Doug, I want you to tell me, there are huge financial corporations backing lawyers to go after trucking companies to this day because of the money available. They can invest huge dollars because the reward is there, isn't it?
Yeah, legal financing. And again, it's one of those things, you go out there to Google and Google it, and you'll see all kind of resources on it. One company advertises itself as the stock market of litigation. And you think about it and go like, so somebody is investing in a pursuit of justice. That's what it boils down to, David. And that's what we're up against, is people looking to leverage money by the misfortune of the accidents in these cases.
So, and let's really, we're at a point right now, the pendulum is at a point right now. Doug, do you believe that we're behind the 8 ball right off the bat? The driver, the carrier, everybody involved is already behind the 8 ball the minute an accident occurs, correct? Whether you're guilty or not guilty, but when an accident occurs, you're already behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, and I say there's 4 phases to this litigation. Going reverse chronological order. Number 1 is the lawsuit, but 90 to 95% of them get settled. But your best results are going to be if you are prepared and act immediately. You then have the post-accident period, what my friend Randy Gilliatt down in New Orleans, who went after the fake accidents, calls the dark period. And that's where we have to get in there, Dave, and get aggressive on these plaintiffs as they're running up the medical bills. Ask them for an independent examination before they filed suit. Because, hey, here's the deal. I don't care if they give it to me or not. I've gone on the record, and they've got to have to explain why they wouldn't agree to a doctor's exam early on. The accident happens, we got to be ready to immediately respond to it. But the big thing, what we're working on with Bluewire, is the pre-accident period. That's where a lot of it's made on that. So yeah, it's kind of like when cameras first came out about 15 years or so ago. My thought was, geez, it's just one more piece of evidence. I'm going to need a proctologist to get back. But the bottom line is that we get blamed for everything anyhow, Dave. So whatever we can do, evidence, proof, video, particularly in today's YouTube society, we need to take advantage of that to protect ourselves.
So Doug, let me ask you real quick. We're not talking about just a safety scorecard, are we? We're not talking about just a safety scoreboard. How is Bluewire different from just that safety scoreboard?
Safety scoreboard is looking at, and usually is predictive analytics on a driver-by-driver basis, or looking at certain things as they occur on the data side. What we're looking for to analyze is, where are your weaknesses? We're trying to drill down, and that's our goal, to find those vulnerabilities so you can address them before the accident happens and before the plaintiffs use them against you.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I think it's necessary that we understand that Bluewire's out there helping us be prepared. Not that we want anything bad. We don't put seatbelts on because we want to have an accident. We put them on because there might be one, right? I mean, let's be honest with ourselves in that regard. And I think Bluewire's offering a very important tool here and a very important service that's helping us put on a safety belt prior to anything bad happening, correct?
Exactly, David. And I use the analogy of the natural disasters. Through construction, building codes, through things like that, we know we can't stop the natural disasters, but we have to prepare to reduce the impact of them. And what we're also looking at doing in Bluewire by identifying the vulnerabilities and giving companies a chance to address them early on is promoting the safety on that side too. So even if you don't totally remove the vulnerability, at least you can go into court and say, look, long before this accident, we identified it, we got a plan, here's what we're doing. We don't need a verdict to tell us we need to do something or what to do on that.
I like the premise. I think it's necessary. Doug, how far are we out from real true tort reform in this country in regards to how far away are we really in tort reform in this country in trucking accidents?
I think we're quite a ways, Dave. You know, in the presentation I give, we've got plaintiff attorneys doing almost $1 billion in advertising. I talk about the investments they make in lobbying, almost 5 times the amount that the American Bar Association does, the American Association for Justice does, and the amount of money contributed to judicial elections on that. But at the same time, you folks down in Texas came through, got tort reform down there, so that you got to litigate the accident, who's at fault in the accident, before you get into the corporate stuff. We're seeing this happen around the country. One of the big things, and to go back to your analogy, Dave, is seatbelts. Virtually every state, if not all states, requires you to wear seatbelts.
Correct.
Great. But virtually all states won't let you admit that into evidence if the other side doesn't wear them on it. Now, state by state, that hurdle is starting to be removed. But you look at the incongruity, the conflict between those two. If we want to promote the use of seatbelts, then why don't we hold people accountable for injuries that resulted from not using it? One of the suggestions I made here, I'm on the Pennsylvania Motor Truck Board. I said, why don't we treat it the same way we do if somebody doesn't have insurance in Pennsylvania or has limited tort insurance, that you can only sue for economic damages, medical bills, lost wages, period. Why should our insurance system, the premiums you and I pay, have to cover injuries because somebody didn't do what the law requires them to do?
Absolutely. We hear all these people, and we hear everything going along, and I think really we're starting to understand that we all pay in these huge atomic verdicts. I really don't even think juries realize that they ultimately pay in the box. Everyone pays on these verdicts, and I get it. There are some instances, and I've read some of the horrible things that some trucking companies have done that don't belong out there. But it has made it really hard for us that do everything that we can to ensure that our guys or gals out there on the road are as safe as they can be. Doug, let me ask you a question. How can Bluewire effectively help a trucking company, a carrier today, right now, with a phone call?
Phone call, we can set you up, give you a demo, get you linked up. It's only to log in and get you set up is less than a couple hours to do it. We can run an analysis of your public data, and with you filling out an online template, get some of your private data so that we can give you the score and identify those vulnerabilities. Get it to you right now, and then plus, we have a recommendation engine who recommends a number of ways that you can address these.
Do you ever help with, and I'm just questioning, I know that you're looking at bad, do you help with and I know you have like this dashboard that helps you identify your weaknesses. Do you help correct any of the bad history, or do you help go back in and look at that, or how it's seen by the public?
Yeah, what we do on it, Dave, is we have a recommendation engine, so that if you have a deficiency in a certain area, the AI generates, here's what your solutions or potential multiple providers, here's some folks that can help you with this, so that we can not just say what the problem is, but be part of the solution on that. Nice. And then plus, like I said before, recognize, give you credit for beyond compliance, what you do to go above and beyond this.
Doug, as you continue to go across the country and identify this and spread the news on getting, I think what y'all are doing is fantastic out there, helping us be better prepared for an eventuality, a natural disaster. I think that's fantastic because God knows we need it, right? And I'm glad, because really the prudent companies that want to be safe, that want to be protected, they're mostly trying to do the right thing as it is, right, Doug?
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, we're spending billions of dollars in our industry in order to improve safety. And I think one of the big things, Dave, and you guys are great at doing this, but I think we got to get it beyond just us in the industry, is who we are and improve this image of trucking.
Absolutely.
We were the ones who, when everybody hunkered down, we kept out there and made sure medicine and foods were. Our drivers compete and achieve 1 million miles at a time. Incredible, achievement of safe miles, the trucking. And to take it to the fullest example, one of my clients was the first step in the pictures we see from the furthest reaches of the heavens on the Webb satellite. One of my clients took it to the launch site. So it just, the extent of the trucking out there, that's what we need to do, and get it out to our neighbors and our friends. So, this whole stereotype that we have is dispelled.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, especially in the idea that, and it confuses me a great deal, because I truly don't believe that the public understands that drivers work their entire career in the most dangerous environment imaginable, and that's our highways and byways. I mean, can you imagine going to a job that this year 45,000 people will be killed, and that's your work environment?
Well, and Dave, what other work environment do we have in which someone is asked to operate heavy equipment in the midst of other people who aren't trained and in many ways, incapable of? You don't have that on a construction site. They got barriers. Look at what we have to do out there. And it's incredible the amount of safe miles that we can achieve.
Absolutely.
Because you can control what you can control, but also you have to keep a lookout for the other folks out there. And it's just, what a great job our drivers do out there.
100%, Doug, and I appreciate what y'all do. I'll tell you what, if you got to reach out over there at Bluewire, and you got to let them know, you got to reach out to them. Doug, what's the best way to get a hold of them? Is it Bluewire? What is the best way to reach out to you guys?
Bluewire.ai. Bluewire.ai. Go there. You can sign up for a demonstration, get information. One of the other things, Dave, we always talk on the defense side about the need to share information. We've set an online community up called Bluewire Connect. Go to bluewire.ai to join that. It's limited to trucking companies, trucking insurers, trucking defense attorneys.
Nice.
You can keep it in the family.
Nice. I do appreciate it, Doug, man. And hey, before you get out of here, I want to thank you. I want to tell you how much I appreciate you coming on and let us know a little bit about your product and how good it will help anybody that jumps on. And also, before you leave, I want you to state your name, who you're with, and that you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that?
I'm Doug Marcello. I'm with Bluewire, and I'm watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.